Don't Worry, Darling is a movie that exists, and we decided, let's talk about the existence of this movie and what we thought about it.
I'm so sorry I forgot to tell you, but you're not feeling very well. And the only way to cure it is if we stay home all day.
Bye.
This is the one with Harry Styles in it, and that's about all the public really cares about. Okay, what did we think of Don't Worry, Darling?
I think it's an interesting movie until it isn't. A familiar but also intriguing mystery, and then at about the 45-minute mark, I was like, oh, so it's this. And that was it. It's a shame, too, because it's a great-looking movie, but by the time you reach the end of it, you're given nothing. It really amounts to not a lot. And, like, I can tell that Olivia Wilde probably thought that she had some sort of David Lynchian ending where you're supposed to leave it pondering what you just saw. But honestly, I did, but I just started pulling it apart.
I couldn't look away. You know how, like, when you watch a car crash and you can't look away because you're like, oh my god, this is actually happening right now. Also, I couldn't look away because Christian's right. Everything is really pretty in the movie. I would say all the production design's pretty, all the costumes are pretty, all the people are pretty. The movie sucks. The movie, whatever she was trying to do, what she was trying to figure out between, you know, the whole thing with the people and the other people, you gotta see it. The correlation, the causation, none of it makes any sense. While I was watching it, you figure it out and you're like, oh, this is what she's doing. This is what we're gonna go with. And then that's what she goes with. And she doesn't do it well. And so then you're just like, all right. And then you leave the movie and you're like, all of this hubbub for this dumbass movie.
I think the problem is in the screenplay.
Yeah.
Nobody questioned it. Like, nobody questioned that there is a big glaring issue at the center of the screenplay. They like, played it as it lies.
Yeah, they started with an idea and they were like, we're just going to keep building off of this and this is what we're going to keep doing. But the idea that they started with was not good. So everything else was not good either.
Yeah.
It's pretty.
And it sucks, too, because it has a pretty good Florence Pugh performance at the center of it. That's really the best thing about it, besides the look. Like, I do think the cinematography is beautiful.
Yeah.
From my guy who films Darren Aronofsky's movies.
It was pretty. The dialogue was terrible. But I feel like everyone didn't know what movie they were in, and I feel like they didn't know what direction they were supposed to go in. Neither did I when I was watching it. I didn't know what I was supposed to feel about this stuff. And I know it's supposed to be, there's a mystery involved, but not like a mystery to the audience and the filmmaker and the people that are in the movie. That's not a good mystery.
I don't think it's quite the fiasco that the press tour and the off-screen drama
was way worse.
Made it out to be. Like, oh, I was all in on it. Like Spitgate and all that. I was there. I wasn't, but I wish I had.
You were there. I showed you immediately. I was like, look
there.
what just happened 5 minutes ago.
Yeah. It just needed like a rewrite. Maybe like it needed to be a little more twisty. Or maybe it shouldn't have gone like the Truman Show route. What if like everything was normal to her until like the end when you realize that nothing was normal? You know? Like, I don't know. Because otherwise you're just sitting there wondering what the big mystery is, and it's not that interesting. It's like a movie that I found entertaining, but not successful as a movie.
Would it somehow be better with Shia LaBeouf? I don't know how to describe it, but I do think it would be better.
I don't even think Harry Styles is bad, but I think if Shia LaBeouf was in it,
It changes.
it would have been a different movie.
I feel like it would somehow match the tone better if she had Shia LaBeouf because he can do that.
Well, I think the way for that to have been accomplished is they would have had to know what they were trying to get across.
That is true.
Right.
That would have been part of it.
Men want to... Oh, wait, this is a spoiler. No,
I mean, it
backtrack.
doesn't matter. They've seen it if they wanted to see
I mean, yeah, whoever wants to see it. It made decent money. I think everybody saw it in the opening weekend, and then we've all kind of moved on.
We made it our lives until it came out, and then when it came out, everyone was like, oh, this is all it is.
This is all it is. Men in control of a Matrix situation who drug these women to cook and clean for them. In theory, it's like the willpower and against their will, and that's not cool, but the rest of it seems kind of cool.
I mean, the rest of it was
pretty. And the more you sit and you dwell on the movie, the more you're like, well, what was this?
The main thing I have with the movie, the main problem I have is what is the deal with that plane?
Okay.
What is the deal?
Took the words out of my mouth. Because the plane, for those of you who don't know, is what sets the plot in motion. But once the whole movie has been revealed, How does the plane make any sense?
Why
Is the thing.
How? Where? What?
Yeah.
All of the W's.
It doesn't really add up once they reveal the whole Harry Styles is an incel and he wants to be with his girlfriend, but
Did they program a
Differently.
World War II
She
plane to
came-
crash into the desert?
It cuts to outside of this, like, Matrix zone in the 50s utopia, and you see Florence Pugh as a doctor, and she comes home, and all Harry Styles wants to do is f*** her, and she's like, I've been at work for 36 hours, not today. And that, from what we gather, is what triggers him to put her in the simulation.
Yeah, he was listening to a fellow incel podcast, and he was like, you know what? Just because of that, you're going under mind control.
It's ridiculous. And it leads to this climax, which is like a car chase. Chris Pine gets stabbed, and none of it makes any f***ing sense. It's
Yeah,
so
the
stupid.
women fight back.
Yeah,
they
but
don't.
it's so undercooked.
They don't because they're still
They
brainwashed. What the?
And then she gets to the tower, and that's it.
Yeah, the tower.
That
The
was
same tower that she was led to by this World War II plane that crashes out in the desert from nowhere. The whole point is that they live in this matrix, right? And that everything's perfect. The lawns are perfect, the furniture's perfect, the clothes are perfect, the hair's perfect, all of it. Why does a plane crash into the desert? Why does that happen?
It's a glitch.
Oh, it's a glitch.
Is
There's
that right?
that part of the
Not
mind
explained.
control, the mind control matrix that Chris Pine made. He was like, yeah, but you know what? Every once in a while, we're going to throw in a little World War II plane that's going to crash into the desert. It's going to lead you to the part where you can get out.
Why would we do that? I don't know.
It would start the plot.
Yep,
It
basically.
gets it going.
Makes.
Like 15 minutes after that happened, I was like, where did that plane come from?
I did not know you were so passionate about Don't Worry, Darling.
What the f*** is up with the plane? That doesn't make any sense.
I mean, I thought I was.
The whole point of the movie is that these people go to like a mountain and then they work on whatever, and then he hates his job somehow, and so it's like, I'm doing all this for you. Is that part of it? They said they were working on weapons, but it doesn't. None of that. There's no planes any other time. There's not like a plane that's flying overhead and it's like, oh, they're living in the 50s. You know, people have planes. People have, you know, jetliners that fly by. There is a World War II plane that crashes into the desert out of nowhere just so Florence Pugh can be like, we've got to go save that person. And then so she could be like, what's going on in here? Oh, what? Is that what you came up with? Is that what you came up with? How is she going to... What's going to start this thing of her being like, what's going on here? What's a little mystery? Oh, I know what. I will just invent a World War II plane that crashes into the desert, leading you to the watchtower that would get you out. And someone's like, why would you come up with that out of everything? And Olivia's like, it's my movie.
Yeah. It's a pretty big gaping hole at the center of a movie that ultimately it ends up to not much. But
It's a small point, but I could not get over it.
no, because it's a pretty big one. I mean, like, it's definitely a visible flaw. I don't know. I don't hate this movie. You can tell that maybe there was an idea at some point in the filmmaking, and I don't really know what the idea was and the final result. But Miss Flo gets out of this movie unscathed. She is delightful. Love her. Can't wait for The Wonder whenever that comes out.
Love Miss Flo.
Yeah.
But basically, at the end of the day, it's a movie with no ideas that pretends it has ideas and it pretends it has a lot of ideas and it doesn't really explore any of those supposed ideas.
Yeah.
And, like, Florence Pugh really does just carry this entire movie on her shoulders. She's the only reason you care about anything that's happening because
Seriously.
she's your lead character and she does a really good performance in this movie and she looks very good, so you want to keep looking at the screen and you're just really concerned for her and what she's going through even though you don't understand or pretend to understand any of it. And then it just keeps revealing itself and then it ultimately goes and that's how it goes. But the car chase at the end of this movie, I really enjoyed. That was, for some reason, interesting to me.
Yeah.
Just visually, I thought that was pretty well done. I kind of, even though at that point I didn't really care, I was still like, maybe they reveal something extra here. And it kind of gets you going with the catharticness of like, dude, this is kind of cool. They were just kind of slowly moving their cars out to their job earlier. And then now it's a full-on James Bond car chase thing. And it's pretty cool because of the retro cars and stuff. Basically, The good parts of it is the retroness. It looks like the 50s, and that's a time in movies that I really enjoy, and really enjoy watching those kind of movies set in that age. So it's pretty cool that there's a 2022 movie that gives that kind of feel and has really nice colors and stuff.
A lot of Indiana Jones 4 energy.
Chris Pine's character as the leader of this whole thing, and I thought his character was absolutely ridiculous.
I enjoyed him in this movie, but
yes.
I feel like at some point him and Miss Flo were like they were just like this is a bit silly, don't you think? Basically the making of this movie was on fire, and those two were just like friends.
We're like, we'll be okay.
Yeah.
We'll upgrade.
Yeah. We'll upgrade.
Yeah.
We're both actually good actors.
Yeah. The movie really, it wasn't like that bad.
It
just ends in the most nothing way possible after you being like, oh, there's something to this. It just completely kaputs in nothing. And basically just watch The Truman Show, watch Stepford Wives, watch
Get Out in there in terms of the commentary, but it's
just
not nearly as smart as any of those movies.
Indiana Jones 4.
You watch Indiana Jones.
Kingdom of the Crystal Skull.
Oh, that one. Yeah, that's kind of like this. Anyway, our ratings for this movie, I would rate it probably like a 4 out of 10. It was pretty much a disappointment that I was kind of excited for earlier on in the year before people told me it wasn't going to be good. And then I saw it and I was like, this isn't that bad. And then it was like, this isn't a movie.
I think it's a 5 out of 10. That's the thing, I didn't have a bad time while I was watching it, but it's ultimately not a successful movie.
I'm gonna give it a 5 out of 10. Basically, it's really pretty to look at, and the first 45 minutes, I was kind of excited, find out what this movie was about, and go through and finish this movie, and because there's been a whole bunch of hullabaloo beforehand, and you're like, oh, what's all this about? It's got to be about something big, and it isn't. But it's really pretty to look at. And like I said, Chris Pine and Florence Pugh, they're going to be fine after this. So I'm just going to give it a 5 out of 10.
Let us know what you all thought of Don't Worry Darling. Did you think it worked? Did you think it did not work and was kind of a chaotic mess of ideas? If you liked what we had to say about it and thought, I kind of agree with this or that, or found it interesting, hit the like button on the video. If you want to see us talk about more movies and things like that, subscribe to the channel. We like to do that. We like to hang out and talk about movies and do fun things. The channel is called So That Was a Movie. So that's the one you're watching right now. I would recommend you watch it if you liked it. If you like something, then keep watching it. That's usually what I do when I like something.
I've been saying that for years.
Yeah, and that's just what I think, in my opinion. If you agree with me, then cool. I will see you in a future video, and we will all three be there more than likely. And as always, but only for this video because of the title of this movie, don't worry, darling.
As always.
But only for this video because
the movie's called.
Keep calm and carry on.